Is there anybody in MMA who is truly the best in the world? Truly. And if you say yes, I'm going to then follow up with, how do you know? That's where you get in a jam. I have my opinion. I believe there are guys who are the best in the world, but I can't prove it because we don't have a competitive architecture. And if we are going to prove it, under what standard? In amateur sport, that will be proven in one day. Won't matter what the sport is, you're going to contest it in one day. And yes, there's some spillover. The Olympic Games just got done. I understand that gymnastics is a 10-day process. I understand that track and field with all the events is an 11-day process. I understand that boxing was done over a 4-day period. But you understand my point that we're going to start something and we're going to conclude it. And under a competitive architecture, at said conclusion, we will then crown somebody the best. Somebody else does not get to come in and say, well, give me a shot a month later on this date. I don't do good in tournaments and I had 3 other matches in front of me. And that's where the architecture comes in at. And yes, things are different when it's a tournament. There are certain guys in certain sports who a one-off, one time can beat anybody in the world, but that's not the way the game is played. There is 4 quarters. There's multiple games. They're going to set it all up and it's got to be done in one time frame. Do you see the difference? So once we start to acknowledge that it's very tough and it's very rare within the sport of MMA that we do have a true best in the world, and we all know it. St. Pierre proved that, we wouldn't disagree. Khabib came along and proved that, we wouldn't disagree. John Jones did some real special things at light heavyweight, and we wouldn't disagree. It took a number of years for us to see it, observe it, and acknowledge it. But who else do we have? I just named 3 guys for you, but they've been setting that cage up since 1993. Are there other people that are clearly the best? And once I get you to draw the obvious conclusion of, well, it is tough. There is some bureaucracy. There is some politics. There are some things that if you could get it to go your way and get certain guys on certain nights at specific weight classes under certain rules would enhance your chances and still not guarantee them. Once I get you there, then I can show you the importance of playing the game correctly. If I am a promoter, if I have 500 athletes under contract, if somebody else, a disinterested third party, comes in and does a top 10 list, and of the 10 guys listed, I have 9 at my disposal. You're one of those 9 and you start giving me a hard time, I have a way to get you beat really quickly. I grab you one of the guys who can beat you, who I kept you away from. Now, I would never say that publicly. I would never let that be known. It would be a secret that I'm sitting on and that I would full well know. And perhaps it's somebody who's never even been on television before. Somebody that I am so unlikely to match you with business-wise because it could not draw that you're probably going to be protected. But I know and you know. I've seen this young up-and-comer in the gym, the same as you have. And matter of fact, I saw him spar you. You're a main eventer. He's not yet in the organization. So the likelihood of you guys staying separated is true, but it doesn't have to be, and I have that power. The same way as I have the ability to promote, I have the ability that I'll keep to myself. I'll never voice it. I don't want to look like a jerk. I can demote, and I can do it today. I am seeing a number of athletes come out that are with a promotion who have been given the power and the exposure that comes with being a marquee fighter, the power and the exposure that comes with being put on television, that comes with getting headlines, with doing the radio and the news and the media tours, with getting t-shirts made after you and tickets printed with your name on it. But if you start to turn that gun on me, if you start telling me that you want to fight the best and you don't care what side of the tracks that's on, you don't care if you're with the boys in San Jose or if you're with the boys in Vegas, you don't care if you're competing on this network or on this platform, and you're willing to go as long as there's a way and somebody's willing to write you a better check, I'm going to listen. When you say those things, I'm going to listen. I'm not going to flex on you, and I'm not going to set up a 3-way call with a lawyer that explains to you how the contract works, but I am going to listen. And I'm now going to know that I don't have somebody that's loyal. And I do know that when that contract comes to an end, if I would like to re-sign you, I'm going to have plenty of other suitors that you've openly said that you're going to talk to. I'm going to wish you well and let you go. I am then going to turn my attention and my focus, because just like you, I only have 24 hours in a day. And I'm going to put that to the guys who want to be here. And I'm seeing a number of athletes, a number of them, come out and talk about whatever makes the most money. And they always back it because I'm so good and I'm such a draw. And I can all but give you the answers. Even now, as I'm attempting to bring class into session, I'm holding back. I'm not revealing it. I'm going to dance around it. I'm going to hope that you have the sense that God gave geese. I'm going to hope that on your own, you're going to realize the three most marketable stars in the sport today are Conor McGregor, George Masvidal, and Nate Diaz. I'm going to hope that on your own, you realize all three of them just lost. I'm going to hope that on your own, you conclude that this is not about who is the best, and it never has been. But if you want to make it about that, I will show you that it's not. If you are trying to run your career off of who can beat who under the 10-9 must system, and your name is not Floyd Mayweather, you are going to end up not liking how this ends. If you want to make this purely about who wins and loses, if you can bring people along the journey and you can make the outcome irrelevant, and even if it was on accident, even if these people were not aware of the principles that I'm laying out for you, and it was just a byproduct, Conor McGregor, George Masvidal, and Nate Diaz are the three biggest stars, the three biggest box office attractions, the three most bankable athletes competing today. And they're all coming off of losses. So the question becomes how? How did they get there? Now, that's an entire another chapter. But I am seeing athletes while dancing around their names, who are at the top of their organizations and who would tell anybody that is willing to listen that they will leave this organization today if they can get more money elsewhere. That organization is the one that made you interesting. No matter what your skills were, that organization that had the power of television, had some marketing dollars, and was willing to take an investment is the one that made you interesting. If you're willing to turn your back on them very quickly, they are going to listen. But if you think that a suitor is going to come to your door because you've made it well known that you'll stab the guy that made you something in the back, and you think the other suitor is going to find that attractive, I don't like him either, and now I know you don't like him, it doesn't work that way. They're going to take a look at you and say, what I have here is an unloyal person. I only have so many TV spots. There's only so many interviews because I've only got 24 hours in a day. Do I want to use those in this direction? Or do I want to observe the fact that nobody outdraws McGregor, who I can't tell you the last time he won? Aside from McGregor, nobody outdraws Masvidal. I can't tell you the last time he won. I happened to be there. I watched it. I was live. It was at Madison Square Garden. It was called the BMF Belt. I don't know when that was. 2018 sounds right to me. I wouldn't disagree if you told me 2019. I genuinely don't know. And I could say the same about Nate Diaz. And I think as soon as Nick makes that walk, if the crowd on a large spectrum is anything like the crowd that was in Phoenix, Arizona when Bersari threw to him in the first place, and it absolutely erupted even louder than for Nick or Adesanya, who was the reigning champion of the world up a weight class, I think very soon we're going to be able to include Nick. But much like them, I don't know the last time Nick won a fight. I don't know if it was 1 fight ago, 2 fights ago. I don't know what year it was. Was it 2015? I don't know. But it also doesn't matter because they've brought us along the journey on something else. And if you're ever going to use you against the promotion as a form of marketing, I'll stand down. I'll be quiet. One of the biggest draws of all time was Austin versus McMahon. One of the biggest draws of all time was Hulk Hogan versus McMahon. So I get it. I get where athlete versus promoter can be very enticing. Difference, and it's a big one, is those two are working together. Both Austin and Hogan understood where McMahon stood. And when their careers come to an end, McMahon's is going to go on. I only bring that to you because it's a conversation that's never going to be had. You're never going to sit across from the table. You're never going to work out things like this. This isn't how MMA works. It is not cooperative. It is a fight. We're arguing, we're battling, we're fighting for things, and then we'll get in the cage and we'll settle. We have a dispute and we'll settle it here. We get it. That's what makes it work. But if you think that coming to the table and you think arguing that you should be able to go anywhere because of your level of success and that you are given that right, why would you possibly think they wouldn't come to you? If you are so good and you are so hungry and you are so talented that to prove that, you're willing to pack your bag and get on an airplane and go somewhere else. If you believe that that's true for you, why wouldn't you look at the man in the mirror and realize, well, then others will do it for me. If I truly am the best, if I truly am this great, why won't they come to me? And if they won't come to me, we don't have any way to prove who the best is anyway. There is no competitive architecture in place. It is popular opinion. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We didn't start this in MMA. Boxing started it. In combat, at the professional ranks, it's different. You got to have the mandate. If the masses don't want you in an opportunity, you're not going to get it. Once you get said opportunity, you're going to have to do something with it. And if you want on that microphone to have an audience to try to propel yourself into something future, you're going to have to win. I don't make these rules. These aren't Chael's rules. This is the way that it's done. And unless you were Floyd Mayweather, which is a once-in-a-lifetime talent, in all fairness, a once-in-a-life, not just a generational, a guy that was able to go 40-plus years old, still compete, still be busy, and still be the best at touching you while not being touched. Unless you fit that bill, you're going to be very hungry and you're going to be very cold. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can understand that somebody helped you. You can understand that somebody gave you television time. You can understand the things that come with said television time, and you can extend your career. The first thing you need to do is make sure that you acknowledge McGregor, Diaz, Masvidal are the sport's biggest stars. None of them are coming off wins. McGregor, Masvidal, and Diaz all lost to somebody. Why would the guys that beat them not be the sport's biggest stars if that's all that it's about? If it's not about opportunity, if it's not about public opinion, if it's not about getting people and bringing them on the journey with you, then why are the people that beat McGregor, Masvidal, and Diaz not being mentioned to me instead of the 3 silver medalists? Because it would not make it true. That's why. And there's a lesson to be learned in this. And if your contract is just about up, and you think that the way of getting a better deal with the one that you're with is to make it publicly known that you will shut the door in their face as long as somebody adds a comma, you're not going to like how that story ends. This sport is not brand new. The people who made mistakes in 94, in 1999, in 2003, they're all forgiven. And there was a lot of them, many public. They're all forgiven. Because they didn't know. They weren't reinventing the wheel. They were polishing up the wheel in the first place. We didn't know. But enough time has gone by, enough people to study, enough history behind us that we should be able to sit back and recognize, I need a partner. To have a partner, I got to be a partner. To have somebody that gives something to me, I got to give something to them. That's reasonable. It's very reasonable. And I will look at some fantastic talent out there. But if I was to go anywhere outside of GSP and Khabib and Jones in his heyday and act as though somebody was guaranteed to be the last man standing in the sport of MMA, which is so incredibly difficult to win a single fight, let alone to only win fights, do you see the problem? Do you acknowledge that there is a power in the pen? If you acknowledge that, how do you get that power of the pen to be in your favor? That's the question that you should be asking yourself as you move forward on your journey in MMA.